strategist Max Burns, and joining him is St. Martin's Press author, Lexi Hudson. Great to hear from you both. So Lexi, to start off with you, you say cancel culture is affecting corporations and the ability to speak out. Really fascinating take. Give us more.
Virtually all employees in America are at-will employees, meaning that the companies have the right and the freedom to fire anyone they want for any reason. And also we know that the First Amendment doesn't apply to private companies, only the government. But just because companies should or have the ability to fire whoever they want, and just because the First Amendment doesn't apply to private companies, that doesn't mean they should monitor and police the opinions of their employees as they arbitrarily. There are serious consequences to this, as I mentioned earlier, the chilling effect, the effect on morale of companies across the country, and there are some really important safeguards that our criminal justice system has, such as transparency and the rule of law that doesn't exist with powerful informal institutions like our social norms. That's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, so Max, you had a different take, right? Social media was just kind of a megaphone, and people need to be careful with what they're saying because everyone gets to hear it when they put it on social media.
Yeah, it's easy to forget sometimes that social media is our real life, and through anonymity or pseudonyms, we sort of mentally separate ourselves from the more extreme positions that we take on the internet. But I agree with Lexi, corporations are incredibly powerful in their ability to hire and fire. There are very few worker protections there. If we want to address that at the base, the answer is to support and strengthen unions that will actually be able to put in for some sort of counterweight against large-scale corporate power. But in the meantime, what we have is at least a progress from where this used to be something that was very ad hoc and HR would decide what was appropriate as they saw it. We're at least now starting to write down guidelines so employees can contest whether their behavior was inappropriate or not. But I quite honestly don't think that that's a strong enough protection.
Yeah, so Lexi, where do we draw the line, right? Like, what can we go out and spout stuff that's totally inappropriate and be protected? Or what are the guardrails with this? And one of the problems, I think, Lexi and Max, you'll both agree, is that the goalpost keeps on moving, right? So
that's
what is
exactly
appropriate
right.
Yesterday necessarily isn't appropriate tomorrow. Isn't that right,
Absolutely.
Lexi?
Great point, David. And I love what Max said, that companies, that the right thing to do is for companies to write down a code of conduct and have that be freely available to all employees, and not and that prevents the arbitrary and capricious enforcement of an HR decision being made based on a Twitter mob. And we don't want that. Because again, going back to this comparison between our formal institutions and our informal institutions, again, we have things like, again, the rule of law that says all people, wealthy, poor, powerful, and less powerful, they are all equal to the same rules, and they are subject, and they have the ability to know what the rules are. But in the form of public opinion, in this cancel culture, we don't see that. We often see the more powerful people in society not being fired, not being canceled. Take Steven Pinker. There was a huge campaign to try and get him disbarred from a scholarly association in America after he signed the Harper's letter, decrying cancel culture and trying to promote free speech. But of course, he's an incredibly influential and powerful person. So he wasn't fired. He wasn't disbarred from this scholarly society. But we're seeing more and more instances of very low-level employees across America being fired or punished by their employers for things taken out of context, like someone records something or takes a photo, and then they're fired without cause. And that's